When I need answers about anything to do with personal growth, I go straight to my mom and my aunt. Here they are, Priscilla Babin and Tina Gilliat with the sister sauce.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Sister Sauce. I'm Priscilla, and over next to me is my sister Tina.
Hello,
Yeah.
everybody.
Hello, hello. We're on season 2, episode 10.
Yes,
Is that
indeed.
really possible already?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yeah. Good riddance to 2024. But,
Amen to that.
what's going on? What's shaking?
Well, we've got all kinds of stuff going on. Would you like to hear my hot sauce for the day, though? I'm dying to tell you.
Yes, go ahead. I know
Okay.
you're very hot
I'm
with
pumped
all of
up
your
about
sauce.
my hot sauce. So this morning I was scrolling through Facebook and one of my friends had posted this GIF from a movie that was with Julia Roberts. I don't know what the movie was. Some people in the comments kept saying, "What movie is this?" But it was Julia Roberts and another woman, and it was a blonde woman. I don't think it was the one she was in with Cameron Diaz, but anyway, one of the two of them was telling the other one, and I wasn't clear which because I wasn't listening to the sound, but one of the two of them wanted to eat pizza but was ordering something else instead. And so the other one said, just eat the pizza. You only live once, or something along those lines. Okay. So that was the clip they posted, or the GIF that they posted, or the GIF for people who pronounce it with the hard G. And they had put the caption, just eat the pizza, life's too short. And it kind of took me off because I think that people do that to other people all the time. They're like, just go ahead and eat it. That cheesecake, that's a bazillion calories or whatever. You can always make up for it later. And I was reading some of the comments and getting even more angry because people in the comments were writing, like, I agree 100%. It's not like you're going to gain 50 pounds from eating one piece of cheesecake or one piece of pizza or whatever. Just do better the next time. But what people don't realize is that for someone like us, who we've always struggled with our weight and we're working so hard to eat healthy, there could be that excuse at every meal. I'll do better at the next meal. And so I don't think people should encourage other people to eat one way or the other. It's that person's decision what they eat. And I remember I had a friend one time who used to say to me when I would eat healthy, and for a long time I did, I kind of got away from it when I got into my 40s and 50s. But when I was younger, I did much better with eating healthy and staying thin. And I'll never forget a friend of mine one time said to me, I don't know why you eat healthy all the time. You're so thin. You could eat whatever you wanted. And I just was like, what? What kind of logic is that? Do you understand that I am thin because I eat healthy? And I said, I wasn't always this thin. I struggled. I went to Weight Watchers. I lost a ton of weight. And if I don't keep eating within my points here, back then it wasn't points, it was something else. But if I don't keep eating within my plan, I'm going to gain the weight back. And sure enough, when I threw it all out the window and when I was dealing with health issues and ate whatever I wanted, that's when I gained it all back. And so I'm finally losing it again. And if somebody tells me to just go ahead and eat it, I will be mad. Now, if I eat something and then I'm feeling guilty, I don't have an issue with somebody saying, look, you screwed up, just get back on the horse, or get back on in the wagon or whatever they call it. And I do that for you and you do that for me and we do that for AJ and all of us that are trying to keep our weight under control. But don't encourage me to be stupid. And don't tell me that it doesn't matter because it does. If you're saying it doesn't matter, you're probably one of those people who has a really high metabolism and can eat whatever you want, but we can't. Newsflash. That is all.
I
I'm done.
don't think there's anything wrong with treating yourself to a little something, something if you are budgeting your
Yes,
points the right way.
exactly.
And we certainly both went off of our points for a couple weeks here during the holidays,
Well, we
and
went
with
off
all
of
the
our
stuff going
daily
on.
points, but we've been very good about saving our extra points so that we're covered.
Oh, you are? I
Your
wasn't.
weeklies, you don't, because like I never use my weeklies during the week unless I go to a party or something like that. But
I'm pretty sure I went over my weeklies too a couple of weeks in a row,
it's
but
possible I did as well. But because I'm so good most of the time. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. I
but
interrupted you. What were you
I
saying?
think on an average day, if hey, I'm really, the kids want to get donuts, I'm gonna set aside, 14 points for a Boston cream, and I'm gonna eat real clean the rest of the day. You're still being good. I think
I
that
think
still
so
counts.
too. I think so too.
But
But I think it needs to be your decision.
mhm,
I'm not going to call you up and say, guess what I'm doing, Priscilla? I'm eating a Boston cream donut. You should do the same. Go buy you a Boston cream. And as you
mhm.
know, I went through that Christmas Day. I was like, I need a donut. I need a Boston cream donut. And I wound up not getting it until the next day because everything was closed. We even called we even called Gerald's Donuts. Shout out to Gerald's and Shonut.
Yeah, and not
Uh,
everybody can just be like, it's a donut day. I'm gonna get donuts because our relationship with food is different.
yes.
And, it's like addiction.
Yes.
Sugar addiction is a real thing. And it's, you know, probably the number one cause of diabetes. But because you don't realize how much sugar is in everything that you're eating until you do things like Weight Watchers and it tells you, and it's like, really? You
It's the truth.
find out some stuff, and nobody start assuming that Weight Watchers is paying us. It just is something that works really well for us. But having that guide and knowing how many points things are makes it possible for us to have a treat here or there.
Exactly.
I don't like ban desserts. I have desserts. I just choose wisely with my
Yeah.
desserts. It's not like we're eating stuff that's unpleasant to eat. I
Yeah.
love all the food I eat. I enjoy the heck out of my food.
Me too. And
But
New Year's, go
you
ahead.
know,
I'm sorry. I
I was
keep
just gonna say I'm not eating just any old thing, whatever I want all the time.
yeah.
And I don't think there's anything, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna put somebody down or anything because they eat whatever they want. That's their life and they have to live it and they have to live with whatever happened to be the consequences. And maybe they have no consequences of eating whatever they want and they're lucky.
Yeah.
You get to be our age, it starts to sneak up on you.
It
And you
does.
find
It
out.
does. And maybe not for everybody, because I do know some people our age that can still eat whatever they want. And I'm
True.
not saying that everybody has to do what we do. I'm just saying don't try to tell me what I can and should do because you don't
Mhm.
know, as you said, my relationship with food. It is like an addiction. And it's like, that boyfriend that was not good for you, but every time you hear his name or run into him
Hmm.
in the mall, you say, oh, maybe we should get back together. Not me, because I'm married, but you know what I mean. It's like the one that's no good for you, and you still are crazy about him and would get back with him in a heartbeat. And, you know,
Mm.
thankfully, my man is no calories. He's listening to this going, she is a crazy.
AJ, you're 0 points.
Well, we did try to scan Clover and it didn't work. We tried to scan Eric, remember? And he was 0 points. Did not compute.
Yeah. Weight Watchers app doesn't calculate human flesh. So,
Too bad, huh? Uh-huh. Well, the thing is, I screwed up on New Year's Eve. AJ and I went out to dinner, and the waitress offered us a free piece of cheesecake on her. So we split this piece of cheesecake, Snickers. It was yummy. And I thought I was going to really have some problems. So the last couple of days, we've been eating mostly a lot of 0 points or staying low on our points. And I'm thankful that it's paying off and I'm back to where I need to be. But I got to be careful. And you and I have talked about this, weighing ourselves every day. I mean, I almost feel like I have to because it gets out of control so fast. But weekly is good. You weigh yourself weekly.
Yeah, I
Which
don't
is
believe
what
in
Weight
weighing
Watchers
every day.
recommend.
That's too much. That gets too stressful. And remember what happens when you get stressed out.
You eat.
No, well, yeah, but when your stress hormones are high, it blocks you from losing weight.
That's just true.
If you're stressing yourself out looking at the scale every day, you're canceling it out. Don't do that.
Okay. Yeah, that was a long hot topic, but hot sauce. But yeah, don't mess with me with my food. I'm like a dog while I'm eating. Don't be telling me what to eat and what not to eat. I might hurt you. I might bite your fingers off. Don't you dare eat off my plate. That's like a pet peeve. Not because of germs or anything like that, but if I have in my brain how many points something is and you steal one French fry, you've screwed up my whole points. There you go. I mean, if it tells me I can have 12 French fries for 5 points, I want my 12 freaking French fries, not 11. Don't mess with my French fries. Not that they're fried, they're cooked in the air fryer, but you know what I mean. All right, moving on. We need to move on.
Okay.
What are we talking about today, Priscilla?
We're talking about good news because we need a little good news.
Well, and I think that we need everyone to recognize that even in the worst years, which we have both declared 2024, a year that we want to move on from, even in the worst of years, there's a lot of good things that happen. So we don't want to forget 2024 happened because there are some good things. And we're going to share with you guys today some things that we found in our research that were good that happened. So Priscilla, how do you want to do this? You want to just go back and forth and share from the different articles we found and our research?
Well, I have one I'm gonna throw out that I didn't see in any of the articles, and I came across it when I was looking for my marinade. This is okay. So this is some people might think this is gross. It's kind of a gross one, but it's a good one. So bear with me for a second because I got to locate it again because it disappeared on me. So did you know that period blood, menstrual blood, contains excellent stem cells? It does. This stuff we've been flushing down the toilet or throwing away in the trash for millions of years or whatever, washing down the drain, is chock full of amazing, powerful stem cells. And they figured this out a long time ago, 2007. So it's almost 20 years ago they figured this out. Stem cells self-renew, they transform into you can transform them into other cells, brain, muscle, all kinds of stuff. But we usually get them from bone marrow, which is a very painful and expensive procedure. They get them from other tissues and stuff. But menstrual stem cells are like supercharged. They double in 19 hours faster than bone marrow cells, which take 2 to 8 days. So they're like super fast growing. And in a 2018 study, which is, what's that, 6 years ago? I don't math. 7 years
Yeah,
ago.
6 years. Well, seven technically. Yeah.
They had a study that they did that showed that these menstrual stem cells injected into the brains of mice with Alzheimer's improved memory and cleared brain plaques.
Wow.
So they haven't, obviously, it's been 7 years. There's not any major breakthroughs on it, but there's a lot of potential there. And that's not something that's new this year, obviously, but it's something new I learned this year. So I decided to throw it in.
That is really fascinating,
It
though.
is
I
really,
mean, it brings to mind a ton of questions that I don't know that we want to explore on here. But um, no, one of which is how do you tell that a mouse has Alzheimer's?
they, I, they do little mini tiny brain scans, I think.
Oh my gosh, that's
I don't know.
insane. Do
I
you
think they
realize?
actually inject them with the gene,
And
which,
when people say the good old days, come on, people, the good old days, we couldn't have done any of that in the good old days.
no, and then, it's been over 100 and something years since Alzheimer's was discovered, and they
Yeah.
haven't made any real, I mean, they say they've made significant progress, but all the drugs that they've come out with don't work for more than 6 months. I
Oh
mean, they
my
make a lot of
gosh.
noise about them, but they're just a slight help on a temporary basis. So, they could be doing better with
That is really
all that.
cool.
And
That's really, I mean, the advances that they're making in, even with just the cancer treatment that AJ's going through is specifically geared toward kidney cancer, renal cell carcinoma. And it's just fascinating to me that they've come this far with all this stuff. And his doctor even said 6 years ago, when he was first diagnosed with cancer, kidney cancer, they've made such great advances since then. He said, let's just be thankful that if you're going to get kidney cancer, like if it was going to spread to the bone and all, that it happened now and not 6 years ago when you were originally diagnosed, because we can do more now and they've improved the drugs more, which amazes me. And some of the things that we found relate to health issues and psychological issues, and I found those so fascinating. But I'm going to start with Sam Bentley, the young man that you sent me the Instagram for. And he
um,
has multiple videos in his Instagram. So if you look up at Sam Bentley in Instagram, and we'll put a link to his Instagram account in our show notes. But let's start with him. He came
mhm,
up with some that were really great, and a lot of his have to do with um, environmental issues. I would
mhm,
say that. So just a few. One is that two teenagers won $50,000 for inventing a device that can filter microplastics from water.
mhm,
Another one is that scientists in Singapore discovered super worms that can digest plastic thanks to their gut bacteria, which I thought
mhm,
was super interesting. And then
mhm,
a third one, Japanese researchers developed a revolutionary biodegradable plastic that dissolves in seawater and doesn't generate microplastics.
mhm. That's
And
awesome.
the struggle is real with trying to recycle plastics now. So
Mhm,
I'm super pumped about all this stuff. I can't wait for the world to become a better place with better materials to begin with.
mhm. Yeah. I mean, we just talked about all of that on our Earth Day episode. I
Yeah,
say just, it was a few months ago, but you know, it, it's it's serious, all these things are serious problems. A lot of people don't take it seriously, but it's really cool that there are people working on it.
yeah.
And yeah. Here's a few more from Sam. Scientists discovered almost 100 new deep sea species living up to 14,000 feet under the sea,
Wow.
which is cool. That's kind of a cool, fun
You know
new
that
science.
Liv and I were talking about that too because she was showing me some other species of something. It might have been sea animal, sea creatures. But anyway, she was showing me and I'm like, can you imagine like how many more there are that we don't know still? I mean, it's just
Mhm.
fascinating.
Another reason I don't go deep sea diving. It's a little creepy.
I know.
I Veronica Punash Poliate says you don't go into the shark's neighborhood. You go in the shark's house, he won't come in your house. You don't get bit.
There you go. Stay out of his hood.
Here's another animal fact. Kenya's black rhinos that were nearly extinct made a huge comeback and doubled to over 1,000 of them. So that's nice. We don't like extinct.
I know. I was tickled by that too. Nearly went extinct is the clue, right?
Mhm.
When they become endangered and get to that point, something has to be done. But I just think that is so cool that it was reversed.
Yeah, and probably the bulk of that endangerment came from poaching, from people
Yeah,
stealing their horn and stuff. And they
yeah.
just kill the animal and leave it. It's
It's so sad.
it's sad and it's wasteful,
It's
it's
all
funny
about the
people
dollar.
hunting.
That's the problem with the world today. Everything's about money.
Yep. You hit the nail on the head, sister.
I know.
And, here's
I got a good
here's
aim.
here's another a cool one. The largest dam removal in U.S. history was completed, opening up 400 miles of the Klamath River, helping salmon and communities that rely on the river to thrive. Yay, salmon!
Yeah,
I
I'm happy about that. I like my salmon.
like salmon.
I like it
Salmon, go
cooked.
and thrive so we can have
Poor
tasty
salmon.
salmon.
I like mine well done.
Well, at least we're eating them. We're not just killing them for their whatevers.
Oh well. All right, here's one good one about energy.
Mm,
India electrified nine. This is, what's upsetting to me is a lot of this stuff is not locally in the United
I
States. And I'm
know, I
like, why
know.
couldn't the majority of these things talk about the United States? Although Sam Bentley is from the UK, I think. And so he probably geared his comments toward other countries. But
I mean, not
so
his.
huh?
It's not his either.
True, that's true, huh?
It's just
India
that we're so behind.
electrified over 94% of its railways, and 45% of the electrification happened in only 5 years. So all of our like estimations of, oh, it's going to take us this many years to get to this point,
Mhm.
we need to follow India's lead.
It's all because of what you said, because of the dollar.
Yes, I
It's
agree.
always, it's people are afraid of losing their sweet dollar, and so they lobby for, whatever their industry is, and
Yes.
that is not good for the environment. And politicians don't want to lose elections, so they contribute. And
Yeah.
it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pakistan they tripled their mangrove forests over the last 30 years.
Oh my gosh.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and Uruguay ran on 100% renewables for 10 months straight, and 7 countries, this is very encouraging, now generate over 99% of their electricity from renewable sources. That's impressive.
America needs to be one of those countries. We need to join them.
I agree. Hit me with your last two on there. Yay for Sam. These are good.
Yeah, these are great. 20 indigenous groups in the Peruvian Amazon managed to secure land rights over 75,000 acres. That's 3 times as big as Manhattan.
Dang. Isn't that crazy when you think about that is
Mm-hmm.
amazing.
Yep. And then Greece and Sweden became the first countries in Europe to announce bans on bottom trawling to help protect our beautiful ocean.
That's awesome. Well,
Of
those
course,
are some
it,
good ones.
it,
Again, those are from at Sam Bentley on Instagram. And we have some others. Which article you want to start with, Priscilla? We
um,
don't have to do all of them. We can pick out our favorites.
let's see. I like some of these ones in the Vox article.
Yeah, I especially do as well. Can I do the first one?
Yes, you can.
That was the one that made me happy. The first new schizophrenia drug in decades was approved in 2024. So while there are a lot of drugs that are already existing that can treat schizophrenia, there have not been any new ones and safer ones added to the list in recent history. And and so it says, while drugs do exist and the condition can be managed with treatment and support, disproportionate rates of people with schizophrenia experience homelessness and fall victim to suicide. So this latest development offers some hope that people can get on the medication that will help them and make a difference between their life and death. And I've done a little bit of research about schizophrenia in the past, so this was fascinating to me, and I'm happy to see some development in that area.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the ones I like from this, it's kind of an odd one, is beans.
I knew you
Beans
were going
are,
to like that
you
one.
knew I was gonna like that one? I love beans. I don't know what they do to me, but I love beans. But I mean they do good things for me, but they also, well, people know what beans are for. But y'all know the songs about beans. But beans have not gotten a lot of, they haven't gotten their props, on the food chain, on the food, the pyramid and all the, or the plate, whatever, beans, meat always gets up there, but people don't count beans, because they have so much protein and fiber and they're so good for us, and people don't give beans their due. And beans and legumes got a starring role in the 2025 U.S. Dietary Advisory Committee. So they're telling us now that beans should be eaten. We should eat beans. And they're good for the soil. Beans, growing beans is good for the earth. It's good. They've got the protein. They're efficient to grow. So it's easier of a crop than other stuff. And it's the beans themselves is really good for the earth. And so that process in that soil, all the hard work farmers do is a little easier when they're doing their beans. Beans are good.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I love
They
my
don't need a lot of
beans.
processing.
Except if you eat the ones like the Blue Runner, they add a lot of stuff to it. Like,
Oh yeah.
so we're not saying go to Popeye's Fried Chicken and buy a ton of their red beans, although they're extremely delicious. I do
Mine are
believe they're
salty.
high on the WW point scale. So,
Make your own beans at home. They're
yeah,
easy. I love beans.
I love beans too.
Beans, some of that cauliflower rice,
There you go. I was getting ready
some
to say we
seasoning.
need the cauliflower rice.
Some
I love
seasoning
them.
is, don't put you don't need to put any fats in it or anything. It's 0 points.
Very good.
Delicious. And you can put
Thank
some
you.
veg in there and make this ginormous bowl. And then you fart till 3 days later. So good
All
for your
right.
heart.
So here's one of my favorites. It's another medicine related one. And it's most people think that malaria is like already been eradicated, but it has not.
Mm-mm.
It actually still has people suffering and dying from malaria. But 2024 brought us a lot closer to ending its death toll. And And it took us several steps in the poorer countries because you know that we've seen there's several different organizations that do fundraisers for malaria every year. I've seen them at some of the churches we've been to. And in May of 2024, the Central African Republic became the first country to receive doses of the new, even more effective vaccine called R21. And altogether, vaccines reach children in 17 countries where the disease is epidemic, and there is more to come. That was in 2024, the 17 countries. But they're still doing great work against malaria. So, yay for medical advances.
That's awesome. That
Yeah.
is wonderful. Here's one that I like. There is a kind of deafness that some people have that comes from mutations in the OTOF gene. I don't know what that stands for, but I'm just going to read it. It's a genetic mutation, but they discovered that they could use gene therapy to reverse it. And so 5 children this year who were born with that mutation and were deaf as a result now have their hearing. That's
Wow.
just amazing.
I think that's wonderful. Yeah.
There were 6 children in the study, and 5 out of the 6 it worked for.
Wow. That's really cool. Well, those that we just mentioned were all from an article on Vox.com.
Mhm.
And so we have some that are from EnglishLPAIs.com, English.elpais, ELPAIS.com, LP, I guess. And so some of those are interesting. There's one about a fight against AIDS in Philippi.
Mm.
Philippi struggles with crime, rubbish, and poverty, but in the neighborhood on the outskirts of Cape Town, South Africa, a pilot health project is also underway that could change the lives of thousands of people, especially women and girls who are often forced to have unprotected sex. It consists of administering free of charge, voluntary and discreetly, the so-called CAB-LA, it's CAB-LA, or injectable pre-exposure prophylaxis, a preventative treatment that stops contagion and contains antiviral drugs, which are similar to those used to treat people carrying the virus. So that's an advancement in AIDS. And I'm telling you, I've been through a scare with that where I had an accidental needle stick and had to do preventive meds for that. And it was super expensive, like over $1,000 for a
And
1 month supply.
scary and
And
stressful.
super scary and stressful,
And you
exactly.
had
I had
side
to get
effects
a
too,
blood
didn't
check.
you?
Yeah. And so I am happy to hear about that advancement in Philippi.
It sounds like a vaccine, but I guess it's not exactly the same
It's
as a.
kind of like well, it's preventative, so it's a pre-exposure. It sort of is like a vaccine, I guess.
Yeah, the
But
description makes it sound like it, but I guess it's a little bit different. But
yeah, I
don't
don't know.
really
But
don't really know how that works.
whatever it does, good for them.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see any in
Yeah.
that article that you liked?
Um, there's a lot of good stuff. I'm trying to pick one that is, stands out more. Doo-doo-doo. Well, there's a bit in there about the malaria
Oh yeah, I saw
reports
that.
too.
Yeah,
Egypt has
in
basically
Egypt.
eradicated malaria there. So it's
Yeah,
it's the prevention is spreading all over Africa, so that's cool.
yeah. And there's
Um,
another one about the stigma of AIDS being fought because there's such a
mm,
stigma with it possible. But a Kenyan rights activist actually built a TikTok channel, 91,000 followers on TikTok at the time of the article, and apparently suffers from AIDS but doesn't hide his illness. He uses his social media as a loudspeaker against the stigma, hoping to convey a positive message to those who have just discovered that they're positive, HIV positive, or living with the virus. So um, they've all, as a result, a lot of people have decided to stop hiding it and to try to help other people. I think that's one of the biggest issues with AIDS is the stigma, and people don't get help that need it, you know. But he
Mhm.
actually records himself taking antiretrovirals. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Antiretrovirals on the beach while he's about to board a plane at the supermarket checkout in a restaurant. That's crazy. Anyway, go check that out.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's again, those are on english.lpay.com. We'll post that link in our show notes. And then we have one more article. Do you have any off that one, Chris? Do you?
These are a little bit more personalized. These are not like global or,
Mhm.
you know, um, these are like more people
Like
or
good things that happened. Yeah.
There's one about a guy who was paralyzed as a teenager in a skiing accident. He was only 17, and it hasn't stopped him from playing sports and competing. But at age 20, he just completed the wheelchair race at Grandma's Marathon in Duluth, Minnesota this year. And he talks about there's a video that goes with that one, and he talks about um, his training and how people were so supportive of him as he prepared for his first marathon. So that one's very nice.
That is. And then there's a little story about a lady referred to as a guardian angel. Her name is Lynn Story. She's 64 years old and she's retired. And she went into the Nextdoor app and basically offered rides to any neighbors that needed rides. And she had a couple of people take her up on it. I'm sure there are more by now. But she started helping a neighbor who was a cancer patient, April Goodwin. She had uterine cancer and she needed rides to and from her treatments. And Lynn Story gave her those rides. And then she wound up expanding that and helping another neighbor who responded to her post. And his name was Kevin Horrigan, and he was legally blind, and so he needed someone to take him to and from appointments. And he reached out on the app, and she took him under her wing and started giving him rides as well. And someone else shared her story in April, I guess, of last year. And a Philadelphia car dealer was so moved by it that he surprised her with a brand new car.
Aw.
And you know what's cool is that she was rewarded, but she wasn't doing it. That wasn't her motivation, right? And I think that it's wonderful. We actually have a neighbor in our neighborhood group on Facebook that offered um, to chauffeur kids to and from school for moms who work that can't. And she's apparently um, some type of bonded childcare worker. So is and has some great references from other neighbors. So it's not as creepy as it sounds. But because that was my first thought when I read it. I'm like, I'm not sure if I would like respond to a random post like this. But other people started commenting and saying, oh, it's definitely safe. Will, you know, people that were familiar in the group. And I said, okay, I know them, but not that I have any kids that age. But I thought that was such a nice gesture. Apparently, she's like a grandma. There's a lady that does the crossing at St. Bernard, Chalmette High School that every year we see her, and when we're going that way during school zone time, and we see this precious older lady that does the what do they call those, crossing guard. She does
Yeah.
the job of a crossing guard for Chalmette High School when the kids have to cross over to catch their bus. And I just think that's so amazing. And I hope that when I'm old, I'm not old yet. This I had to laugh. The lady in the article that we just talked about was 64, and I'm like, I'll be 64 in 3 months, but I'm not retired, so I'm not that old yet. But I like to think that I would be helpful to people.
I want to do stuff like that when I get, I want to, I don't know if they have volunteers to come in the library and read at story time, but I would like to do that.
Yeah, that
That's
would be
something.
fun. Huh? I think that would be fun too. Yeah.
Mm.
Well, you have librarian children, so you can reach
Yeah.
out to them. Any more that struck you from that article?
There was one that sounded neat. It's about a food pantry in Southern California, and they're calling it the longest drive-through line in Southern California. It's the
Wow.
Siva Collective Food Pantry in Santa Ana, and that area is known as a food desert, which means that the residents in that area struggle to consistently access nutritious food. So volunteers started the organization to hand out food and toys purchased by the organizers themselves as a way to help the community deal with food insecurity. So they have uh, hundreds of cars come and line up whenever the event happens. And there's no window, no cashiers or anything, no fast food. It's just the cars come up and the volunteers come and put bundles of fresh produce and 2 weeks worth of groceries in their trunk, and then they all free and they drive off.
Oh,
And I guess some toys too, it sounds like, depending on if they have kids.
that's
So that's really
awesome.
cool. Hmm.
I like that. Well, I was going to end it with that one, but I saw one more that I wanted to share because I kind of follow him. But if you ever see the traffic judge, that is so sweet. And his name is Frank Caprio. And there are a lot of videos on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok of him and Facebook of him. And he always takes compassion on people. It was so funny the one time when the dad ran a red light or whatever, and the kid ratted him out to the judge, and the judge is like, well, how much do you think I should charge your dad for this? And it was too cute. But he's really a sweet little judge, and he's 88 years old now. But anyway, he's so kind all the time to his viewers, and or not to his viewers, but the people in his court. And apparently, Caught in Providence is the name of the show. I've never actually seen the show, I've only seen clips. And there was a gentleman that visited him in his courtroom in 2023. And at that point, Judge Caprio had been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and he was going through treatment. And he wound up, I think, sharing the story, and thousands of people reached out to him with kindness and compassion, sent him letters and gifts and everything. And earlier this year, the same gentleman went back to visit him, I think just to visit him, not because he got a ticket, and maybe not the first time either, but he had more positivity than ever. They said he had just rung the bell celebrating his recovery from cancer. So I thought that was a sweet story. I like him. He's so precious, such a positive person. Well, we'll share all of these links to these articles because there's plenty more that we didn't read to you or share with you. And get your 2025 started off on the right foot, remembering that there were kind people in 2024 and good things did happen. And every year is a opportunity for us to do better.
Don't don't be downhearted. There is potential in
Amen.
every year, no matter what. So,
In every situation too, you and I were talking about that the other day. Every bad situation we go through, there is usually some kind of positive that comes from it. I remember telling you about how when my house flooded in Braithwaite, it was a devastating loss to lose everything and all our photos and all that we thought were safe out of the water, but the water was so high they weren't. And that was hard to go through that. But on the plus side of it was that we got a nicer house and we were able to secure a disaster loan through SBA, which was a lot cheaper interest than we had been paying, and the insurance was a lot lower. And so, there's rainbows amongst all the rain and the clouds. You just got to look for them. What do you have for us to marinate on this week, Priscilla?
Okay, so bear with me. This is it's gonna sound like a joke, but I feel like there's deeper meaning to it. Okay. This is a quote from the show What We Do in the Shadows, which is a very silly show that just ended actually. They had their series finale just a few weeks back, but um excuse me. This is a quote from that show, and it's a character who is extremely boring. So he says, a burrito is just a rolled up taco. A tostada is an unfolded taco, and nachos are broken tacos. It's all tacos. But I feel like there's deeper meaning in that. And I like
I
to
think
marinate
so.
in the deeper meaning of it's all tacos.
I think
I
that's
think,
kind of like it's all in the way it's served up to you and all in the way you look at it, right?
mhm,
And you can take simple tacos and do so many different things with them.
yeah. And you can think of it if you're thinking about the, life gives you lemons, make lemonade. It's kind of the same thing. Life gives you ground beef and tortillas, make tacos.
That's right. Make you some
I feel
tacos,
like it's a
girl.
look, you could think of it really positively. You could also think of it negatively and be like, no matter how some things are packaged, sometimes they're all just tacos.
Yes. So next time you're looking at a person and you're thinking, what the heck? Just remember, maybe if you look at them and package them differently, they'll they'll be more appetizing to you. I don't know what that
All
meant, but
tacos. That's gonna be my new catchphrase. It's all tacos. That
it's
and
all
stay fresh cheese
tacos. I
bags.
like that. It's all tacos.
It's all tacos.
Yeah. Sort of relates, 2024 was all tacos.
Hmm. Some of them were not good tacos, but some of
Mhm.
them were.
So last week we reran our episode of New Year's resolutions from the 2023 December end of year
Mhm.
special. Question for you. Do you have any New Year's resolutions this year? Or anything like that you want to do better in 2025?
Uh, well, I mean, I've already put a lot of things into action in my life that like decluttering my house and getting on a regular um pattern or sort of plan of exercise. My nutritional plan is pretty solid. So I feel like those things are all good. The major changes coming at me in this coming year, I'll be launching another child from the nest for all,
From the nest.
Yeah.
Get out of
Well, I
here. Oh,
mean, kind of. I
close
mean, college is
graduate.
kind of like a median, because they're not really fully out of the nest, but it's the beginning of that process, with one graduating high school and later in the year, in the fall, it'll just be me and one child living at home. So that's going to be a big change. But like I've taken on a few new roles at church that are going to be possibly really challenging for me, especially when I'm in the midst of perimenopause and my ADHD. But so those are things I'm trying to plan around so that I can be better at them and do them well.
Well, from what I've seen,
Finally,
you're
my
already doing
brain.
a great job at both. So,
Ay.
I'm impressed.
intimidating.
And
Well,
there's plenty of people that are willing to help because volunteer jobs can suck you in. I know that. But the good thing, our church is so amazing. And all you have to do is say, I'm overwhelmed, and somebody will step in and help you. The
haven't
key
even
is speaking
started
up.
earlier.
I'm overwhelmed because I tend to not do that until I'm like pulling my freaking hair out.
Oh,
But yeah, definitely. It'll be challenging, but it'll be rewarding as well. It's all tacos, Prince.
it's all tacos. Some tacos you're more passionate about than others,
Yeah, true
and
that.
eat them with thusly more gusto.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Well,
So,
I did pretty good, this past year. My word was simplification, and I said I was going to
mm,
simplify my life a lot. And I did pretty good. Like I redid my website for a cheaper version that is there like a fraction of the cost because I said I'm putting way too much money into this website that I really am semi-retired and it didn't make sense to do that. I also cleaned up my computer and got rid of a lot of stuff. I'm still working on that, still kind of putting all my speeches and presentations in a database. So I'll stop reinventing the wheel because I keep writing and rewriting presentations that I don't need to. I can pull material from others when I'm asked to speak at something. So I'm working on that. And I've got made a lot of progress with it. So that's a good thing. I did the whole WW thing back in 2023 and continued that this year. So I'm happy with that. But the changes that I would like to make, I definitely need to drink more water.
mm,
In fact, Liv was not feeling well at all this morning, and she kept saying, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what's wrong. And we were getting concerned that she was going to start struggling again with medications. And all of a sudden, she came inside and said, I feel so much better. And I said, Why? What did you do? And she held up an empty bottle of water
mm,
and thought, Oh, your Aunt Priscilla would be so proud of you.
mhm. It's
Because,
amazing. Clover said that this week, or last week. Clover got in a habit during the play and practices and stuff of carrying the water around. It was, when you're talking more, and especially when you're trying to project, your mouth gets dry faster. So they were drinking like probably triple the amount of water they normally drink. And when the play was done and they kind of backed off from their water, they noticed and
wow,
said to me, it's amazing how much your body misses that water when you've been giving it, you know? Because you can get to a point when you've not been hydrating well where you're existing at,
yeah,
a comfortable, like, or at least in a comfort zone of not having that water where you don't notice how bad you feel, but when you have been actively giving your body that water in the high amounts that it really needs and it drops off, it hits you like a truck. I
oh, for sure.
remember when I got really good at drinking water and I was drinking almost 100 ounces of water a day. And then we went to Florida on vacation and I couldn't carry my water around constantly like I normally do. And I didn't have the water that I only had like a small amount of water every day for a week, and I thought I had the flu. I just didn't
That's
have water.
crazy, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm going to start doing better with that. And I'm so proud of you with the exercise, and I need to do that, even if it's just walking. I sit at a desk most of the time because most of what I do is on the computer. My church stuff is all on the computer. My tutoring is on the computer. My even writing my speeches and things like that are all on the computer until I'm standing in front of an audience. And so, yeah, those are the two main things that I want to do better in 2025: drink more water and get more exercise. We'll check in at the end of the year and see how we do.
I have a tip for you. I just
What's
popped in
that?
my head, so I'm gonna tell you before I forget, and everybody else can benefit. You sit at your desk a lot, right? And I have
Yes.
that. I've shared with you about Shelley, the Australian lady that I do her exercises. She's on YouTube as Fabulous 50s, and she is adorable, and she has all these videos, and she has a lot of 10 and 15-minute videos of walking or whatnot, and I usually do the 30-minute ones. And like 3 times a week, I'll do the 30-minute one. It's a mix of walking and other movements, that's
Uh-huh.
good for your flexibility and balance, which are important at our age. Balance, especially because falls are a huge problem as you get
Mhm.
older. So balance is really good. But she has shorter ones too. And you could just be like, okay, I'm taking an exercise break and do one of her 10 or 15-minute ones right there at your computer because you don't need a lot of space because she does it right, in her,
Yeah,
and then go back to your work and set a timer for, I'm gonna work for 2 more hours or an hour. Wow, you work all day, so I don't know how long
it's
you
true.
work. And then
Yeah,
do
it's
another
true.
one.
Well, because what I do is on Fridays, I have computer work the whole day because I edit our podcasts. We record
Mhm.
on Friday mornings, and it doesn't take that long to edit the podcast, but then I do all of the church stuff, the services and anything usually. Announcements, all of the church prep work. So I'm sitting at the computer, even if we're only having one service that weekend. I'm sitting at the computer for 3 or 4 hours getting ready for that service. And same, then you add the podcast. And then if we're having two services like this weekend, we have jazz service and regular service on Sunday. And then we have, I know we're going to have some funerals coming up. And I also have to do some work ahead because Pastor Katie's going to be on vacation and we need to get ahead of the game. So I know I've got a long day ahead of me. And that was one of the things the physical therapist said to me: when do you notice that your back hurts the most? And I said, after sitting at my computer all day. And he said, well, are you getting up from the computer? And I'm like, yeah, sure.
To
But
go to
I
the
know I'm
bathroom and come
not.
back, to go get
So,
coffee and come back.
yeah,
Actually,
I'm
no,
not.
because AJ brings your coffee.
And, of course, my answer to everything is that I need to get a new chair. Not that I need to get my booty up off the chair and move around. I just need to get a new chair. But no, I need to be realistic. It needs to be me moving. So
Yeah.
I'll let you know how that goes.
Oh, you might need both. You might need to move and have a new chair.
True
Because
that.
I purchased I think it's called a Tushy Defender. I don't know if that's really what it's called, uh, but it's a butt cushion, and I purchased that because I have discovered if I'm sitting even for just 20 minutes in the same place, I start getting sciatic nerve stuff, and I've lost almost 50 pounds, and I've been exercising, and
Amazing.
my flexibility is so much greater than it had been for years.
Oh, for real, I get it.
And I still have sciatic nerve problems if I'm sitting in the same position too long, making me
Well, and
crazy.
you don't have any padding anymore either. AJ's down. So
There's still something back there.
yeah, yeah, it's okay. We could talk about that all day, so I'm not going to get on another tangent. But yeah, for sure, I feel you. Well, this has been great. We hope that we've inspired you with some good things from 2024, that you won't feel so horrible about the year that has passed. And we look forward to hearing your stories from 2025. But until then, make yourself a priority.
And take care of you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us. Make sure you subscribe to keep up on all the latest sauce. See you next time.